everyone, Jedi Joy here from the Jedi Rich Show. It is Saturday, January 4th, 2020. I'm down here at the Raiders Stadium behind me. So we came down here because of all this whole roof issue, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But as we came down here, we ran into some fans. They have been fans forever. One guy said he's from Mexico and he's been a fan when the team was in LA, when the team was in Oakland, both times in Oakland. And now he's a fan now that's coming to Las Vegas. And we got some footage of that we'll put in the video here, as you guys will see. But we wanted to hear some input from what the fans are saying, and I asked them, how they felt about the team moving, and they had all good comments about it from this group that we met down here. But I know there's a lot of negative stuff going around. A lot of people don't want the team to move to Vegas, and I understand, from both sides, people have concerns, and that's why we came down today. But we came down, it was warm, it was cold, but I started dancing, as you guys will see some footage. Most fun I've ever had dancing, so now I was able to take off my jacket. It was actually pretty chilly out here still, but I was just dancing, so I'm able to be here in my tank top, but I got my gloves on in a tank top because it's still kind of chilly, so it's a funny look I got going on here, a beanie, gloves, and a tank top, but I was just dancing my ass off. I had a great time. But anyways, you guys, that's the fun stuff. We're down here. It's looking beautiful. I would love to say that everything is just going great, but it doesn't seem to be the case. If you guys remember back in May, we had made a big deal about that they had taken down a truss. It was a roof truss. So they had to install a bunch of these roof trusses, which is behind me. They're what is on the top there. And one day, it was around the middle of May, they took one down. And we thought, that's strange. So that meant there was an issue. So we came down to check it out, and we started talking to the workers. And right away, several iron workers flat out told us that the iron workers had accidentally put a part of the truss together upside down on half of the trusses. It was something that was so, such a minor thing that they didn't notice till they had several of them up, and then they started to realize it was going to be 1/8 of an inch off plumb. So they didn't know what to do. Well, we made a big stink about it. We started going all crazy on all social media platforms, and people called us fake news, and they thought we were insane. We got called all kinds of names, crackheads, whores, all kinds of names, and all we reported is what we heard directly from the workers. Well, now we dropped it because everyone claimed everything was fine. The news kept saying everything's great, everything's on course, blah, 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 blah. So we said, all right. Well, fast forward now. Now we're coming into October, and they're saying, let's get the roof getting and going. And this thing that was already originally supposed to be started in September. Now, we say, maybe there's something going on with them roof trusses again that we've been talking about in May. And then we start hearing rumblings, oh, no worries. Well, we're good, just delayed. We'll get it done in October. Oh, we'll get it done beginning of November. Oh, we'll get it done by Thanksgiving. Oh, we'll get it done in December. Oh, we'll get it done in the middle of December. Oh, this and that. Now, here we are, January 4th. Well, we said this doesn't seem right because they said it is no longer on a critical path. So we started raising the roof, and then we decided, not an issue, let's work on the field tray. We don't need to worry about the roof. Let's just have a very airy stadium. That won't be an issue. We're opening in less than 200 days, but not a critical issue. That does not sound right to me, and that's what all of the news channels locally and on social media have been reporting, and especially one in particular would be Review Journal. They keep reporting everything is pancakes and butterflies and everything is great when that's not what's going on. So what's going on is at least 8 bolts of the structural roof bolts, okay? There's only 44. Rick Vallata, he is with Review Journal, if you don't know what I'm talking about. He's the one he's talking about. He's been him and Mick Ackers, kind of the head of the stadium over there at Review Journal. And they say, oh, no worries. It's just as if you're doing a home improvement and some bolts were overscrewed, because they said 8 bolts were overscrewed and broke. Well, I said, well, It doesn't seem, if it was just 8 little bolts like you have at home, shouldn't stop the roof from being lifted. Well, now come to find out, you guys, it's 8, at least 8. 8 is all we know for sure. Could be more, of the 44 that are going to hold the roof on the stadium. 8, at least, this is what they've actually reported, which most of the stuff they've reported is a lot less of what is actually going on. So, okay, a much of what... 8 of the 44 structural roof bolts. What that means, these are the bolts that they're supposed to attach the roof to. They're supposed to hold the roof in place. Those are breaking. And you guys, it comes back to our story in May. When they had the roof trusses put together improperly, they were off. Now, this roof, per Don Webb, who's the head of the, whatever he does over here, he one of the head Martin McCarthy guys or something. I don't even know Don's official title. All I know is that he is a Don Webb of lies.
Don Webb is the COO.
I've been informed Don Webb is the COO. So there we go. But anyways, title don't matter. I don't care.
And hold on. And make sure to mention that those bolts, those structural bolts, attach the roof trusses to the beams.
Okay.
Did you say that? I don't know.
But I will say. So so Don Webb.
Let's start right now and action.
Don Webb is the COO of this project here. And he likes to sugarcoat things, I'd like to say it at a minimum. And they like to act like nothing's going on. Well, what they did claim is that 8 bolts broke. These bolts are the structural bolts that the roof has to be attached to, the beams. They're going to attach the beams to these bolts. These are the bolts. So these bolts attach the roof trusses to the beams. These are super crucial bolts. These are not just bolts that you over tighten on accident at home, Rick Villada. Now here's the thing, you guys. This week, I got a call from an engineer that used to work with NASA, that he got wind of our video, the last one we had up, and he called me out of the blue just because he was worried about this stadium. He said, from what he saw from our report and what he gathered himself by reading about this stadium, about how they were going to make the roof, he read all about it from FreezeNet and everything. So this has to be no error, you guys. This roof had to be 100% precise in order for it to even work, but for it to even be safe even after it's lifted. So if everything is not 100% precise with this roof, even if they get the roof up, this engineer is saying that a couple years later it could crash in if they are not making sure 100% everything is to the gnat's ass perfect. And right now it's not. Things are breaking. So this is a huge, massive undertaking that needs to be done. This is not let's just go tighten up some bolts and fix little things. This is pretty much everything about the roof needs to be replanned, because now the blueprints are off. The stadium is not to the spec of the original blueprints for this roof. That is scary. And that is why an engineer called me and said, you need to contact the local scientists, anyone locally that can get up there and say what is going on, because he said, I'm not there. You need to contact, and I might do that, but I'm hoping you guys can just understand what we're saying here. We've contacted a lot of the local news, contacted non-local news. If this stadium, if they don't fix this, people could get very hurt by this stadium, because if they think they're just gonna, jimmy rig it, I don't know if that's a term that offends anyone, but that's a term I knew growing up. If they're gonna do that to this stadium, people could get hurt. And that is what they're claiming on social media. Rick Villada and Don Webb claimed that when the bolts didn't work, they just kicked them and, just forced them and whatever they needed to do to make them fit. Well, that's not how science works. It's not how physics work. This roof is all about physics, and they've messed with the physics of the roof. And that's not something that a construction crew necessarily has any knowledge of, is physics of the roof of this stadium. And I don't either. That's why they had scientists design it. And now they have made things to make it not to what the scientists and architects and engineers designed. They started twisting and kicking and, jamming things to fit on their own. That is not safe. And I don't care how long you've been in construction. I don't care how many stadiums you've built. They've never built this roof. Not the same as this one. They have one similar, but this crew didn't build it. And they have not built this exact roof. And guess what? Whether they built it or not, it's not working. So you can say, oh, they have all this training and they've done this. Well, they broke it. So what do you say to that? So they need to be honest. Well, all we're asking is be honest. The roof has issues, and if they don't be honest, we're not going to have the Raiders here in 2020. If they're honest, we can get the money to get the stadium fixed. That's what everyone wants here, you guys. We don't want this stadium to fail. We want the Raiders here. But if they're going to keep lying about that, we have a roof that is not working. There's not a reason like it's not on the critical path is why it's sitting there. That's not the case. It's because they broke the bolts and they don't know what to do. And until people start talking about that, we're never going to fix the solution or find the solution. We'll never fix the problem. Because everyone is saying there's no problem and we have a roof that's not being lifted. Okay, you guys, it'd be like if your realtor said, hey, got this great house. Let me have Mick Acker sell it for you. It's got a great view. It's got real slick landscaping. Man, it's even got some nice suites. You can bring all your friends over. It's only got one problem. It doesn't just not have a roof. It's got a roof in the middle of the house. So you kind of just gotta walk around it, and maybe we can lift it a little bit, get underneath, but I'd be careful because the bolts don't hold. So don't do too much work underneath there. But other than that, bring your friends over, have a party, have a Super Bowl, just don't mind the roof right in the living room. Oh, and I hope it doesn't rain or 120 degrees. So there we go, guys. No, but seriously, this is no joke. We're really concerned about this. I know everyone thinks we're just crazy. They think we're weirdos because we call ourselves Jedi, this and that, but we're being really serious. We don't want anything to happen to anyone, and we take this very seriously. People think that we are doing this for views or doing this because we don't want the Raiders to come here, or we do it, either or. It's none of that. We do it because in May, we found out something from the crew that we thought everyone would be like, oh yeah, totally, that's what happened. Let's get it fixed. But instead, we got the craziest stuff happened to us. I mean, Jairus ended up in the hospital. He got attacked. We got threatened. We got robbed. We got all this stuff just because we were speaking out on something that we didn't realize was a secret. And that's why now, all these months later, we were happy. We were like, cool, everything's on track. We're just going to let that go. And now we have this, and once again, we're getting called fake news. We're getting called this and that. And now I have engineers that used to work for NASA calling me and saying, this is okay. Here's the clincher that got me, you guys. The issue that this engineer brought up is that when you have fluctuations in temperature is when you have the issues. And this is what we talked about, that the day that the temperature dropped 30 degrees overnight, it went from about 70 to 40, or maybe even 60 to 30. I don't remember the exact, whatever it was. but it dropped 30 degrees, and we came out here and it was so cold. I mean, it was one of the coldest days, and that's the day that people are saying that there was some bolts that possibly broke. And Tommy White came out here and said he went up on the roof himself and everything was fine, which I tell you what, Tommy White, I would not want to be standing on that roof myself right now with what I'm finding out. So good on you to be brave enough to even stand up there right now, because after all this, yeah, anyways, but here's the thing, you guys. This engineer said that it's the problem when the temperature gets to about around 30, when it gets to freezing, that you're going to have issues with the steel and the metal. And this is when the things were cracking, because you're going to have, as it gets colder, it's going to shrink. And here's what he said. When this happens, they have to calibrate their torque wrenches twice a day at least is the minimum. But if the temperature changes, you gotta adjust them every time the temperature changes. So that day they didn't, and I don't know if they do every day. The temperature changes a lot here in Vegas.
The reason why they scheduled it to be raised in September is because it's very mild.
Right, and they scheduled the roof to be raised in September because there weren't as many temperature fluctuations in September. But now as we get closer to the end of the year, and now the beginning of the year is when we have really crazy weather here in Vegas from about November through till March. It starts to get nice in March, but last February we had snow, and that's when this whole thing started too. They got behind because of snow. And here's another thing. I just remembered, you guys, there's a lot here. I know this is a lot I'm talking about, but there's been a lot of things going on that are being real hush-hush, and there's a lot of shady things going on. Back in June, we came down, we didn't know what was going on. Everything came to kind of a halt, and we had heard some rumors about some steel deliveries not coming through and this and that. Well, we're finding out now, you guys, that no one paid the steel bill. This stadium is not getting the funding from several of it has 3 parts that contribute to this, and 2 of its parts are not contributing their part. So there's not enough money right now. There's a lack of money, and now it's costing more money. Steel is not being paid, so workers couldn't even work for like a couple weeks, or at least a week in the beginning of June. They could not work because the steel had not been paid for. And all this stuff doesn't make it to the news. They say, oh, everything's going wonderful. No, things are not going wonderful. And the 2 people that are not paying their bill is Mark Davis and Clark County. The Clark County Fund has to finish paying their bill, and so does Mark Davis. The only person that's actually paid their portion of this bill is the NFL. And it's 3 parts for this. It's coming from Mark Davis, the NFL, and Clark County. So I don't know what's going on. People are not doing their part here, and I'm hoping everything works out, because we want the Raiders here for 2020, guys. So stay tuned. We're finding out stuff, and we're getting to you guys as soon as we can. It's just nonstop. We find more and more and more things every day. But you can follow us on Twitter at JediRichCom, Jedi Joe Rich Show, The Naked Jedi, and Alien Nick. And then you can subscribe to our YouTube, the main one here, Jedi Rich Creative Producer. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers so we can do some live broadcasts out here. We have 900 something, so we're getting really close. So thank you everyone who's subscribing. That's really helping. And then you can also, we have a couple of other YouTube channels. Those are just kind of more for our little blogs. But we got The Naked Jedi and Jedi Joy's blog. So please don't think we're trying to be the bearers of bad news here, but we need everyone to know what's going on, because we want everyone to be safe here in Las Vegas. We've already had a tragedy. We don't need another one. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jedi Joy.
Where are you going? Where's your shirt say? Where are you going?
Yeah, straight to hell. Straight to hell, baby. That's right. That's right. You know what I know about hell?
What?
Is that hell in Greek mythology, in Greek history, right? There's this dude named Dante. And Dante had 27 different, Dante had 27 different levels of hell. Now, depending on what you did on Earth, like, depending how bad you were, you know, you would go to these different levels, and the lower the level, the worse it was. You know, like let's say if you stole a pack of chewing gum, level 1, way at the top. You know, pretty much, it's not heaven. It's like It's basically like, you know, you're in Vegas, but you have to stay at the Tropicana. But now you've done some really fucked up shit. Like, let's say, I don't know, like you tried to deceive an entire nation that a stadium is not structurally sound, that could collapse on 65,000 people plus 2 NFL teams. Now that level of hell is much lower than the people who steal chewing gum, you see? Now I don't even know where they put that. They put that down there with people who basically chop up babies and eat them for lunch. What Jedi Joy was saying is if you have a Swiss watch, you can't just, oh man, shit, I dropped my watch in the pool, Ma, what should I do? I don't know, give it to Dad, he's in the garage. He'll just take it apart and shimmy it around and kind of jam it around and put some little things in there and put it back. So,
We're Raiders fans.
Hey Raiders, go Raiders! So that's kind of what that's about. So why are we here? I don't know, man. Maybe if Mick Ackers and Rick Vallada and maybe some of these other reporters here in town would do your job, then I could go back to making music videos and I would have to tweet you and the FBI and all these other fucking psycho bat crazy tweets all day to get you guys to notice that the stadium is not structurally sound because the contractor is a liar. So if you would do your job, then we could go out and start doing what Jedi normally do, which is have fun all day long.
Oh, we might be in the street. But anyways, so one time, let me tell a quick story. I came down here. It was like nighttime when they had these closures, and I was in an Uber, and she said, can I go forward? I said, sure, I think so. And she drove her Uber right into one of these huge, massive ditches here at the Raiders Stadium. I was like, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just told the Uber driver to drive. And then luckily the guys were able to get her out, not any damage, but hey, thanks. But yeah, you gotta watch it if you come down here because they're always changing the roads down here and stuff, and there's open ditches and stuff, so be careful. That's how you pump and fake a dog.
Not to death, I'm not impressed, I'm not amused, I'm not confused, I'm not confused. I'm a grown man business, I'm not in school. Put your hand down, youngin', this is not for you.
On my jail, my beats with the Kanye, yo.
Your name on the market, your name off the payroll. Style fresh
Like I'm still a Dayo, and it's been like that since the day-yo.
On more time than a Rolly or Seiko.
Step on deck, your neck, or do what I say so. Get up or get out, get down or lay low.
Black Jedi. Let's
Let's move. Shout out to my man Cali Kwame. We are through. Shout out, check it out.